Hey there, I'm Indigo, 28 years old, still grappling with the recent upheavals in my life. Our family, typically serene, has always had its fair share of drama, but things recently took a chaotic turn. To understand the unfolding events, let me provide some context. Growing up, my parents and I maintained a relatively tranquil existence, except for my older sister, Azalia. Azalia was a different story altogether, a whirlwind wreaking havoc in our family dynamics. She embodied the quintessential black sheep, taking rebellion to new heights, breaking all the rules, forging her own path. Our parents struggled to rein her in. Late night parties, questionable friendships, romantic entanglements, and a blatant disregard for authority marked her distinct presence. However, the real bombshell hit when she became entangled with a married man. Yes, and major betrayal that shattered our family, turning us into pariahs within the community. The scandal gained national attention, amplifying the heartbreak caused by Azalia's choices. Following this, the situation only worsened. Azalia spiraled into a world of relentless partying, making increasingly risky decisions and pushing away anyone attempting to offer support. Her involvement in illicit substance abuse added another layer of distress, a painful spectacle that still haunts me. It felt like witnessing a slow-motion train wreck, leaving us all in disbelief. Unable to cope, our parents distanced themselves from Azalia, not out of a lack of love, but as a means of self-preservation. Could you blame them? The pain was overwhelming. Personally, I harbored intense anger towards my older sister. Once a figure I admired, she repeatedly shattered my trust and heart, dragging me into her irresponsible escapades. I attempted tirelessly to mend the fractured bond with her, but she persistently rebuffed my efforts, only seeking me out when she required money for drugs or a place to crash. Eventually, I made the tough decision to sever ties with her formally, following in my parents' footsteps, unwilling to be exploited for her benefit. Tragically, a few years later, my father passed away unexpectedly. The news hit me like a ton of bricks, leaving me devastated, especially knowing he departed without bidding farewell to one of his estranged children. Despite the tumultuous past, I reached out to Azalia in the hopes that amidst our grief, we could set aside our differences and unite as a family, finding solace in our shared loss. Yet, my optimism was shattered when I asked her to attend the funeral. Her response was like a slap in the face. She callously remarked she had better things to do. Can you fathom it? Our own father's funeral, and she couldn't muster the decency to be present. Anger surged through me, and I unleashed my frustration over the phone, pleading with her to set aside her selfishness and honor our father's memory by attending the funeral. But her response dripped with disdain and apathy. She mocked my plea, dismissing the significance of the occasion with indifference, claiming she had a life to live. That was the tipping point. I felt foolish for holding on to the belief that she might change. In that moment, I resolved that I wanted nothing more to do with her. The pain of losing our father was already unbearable, and her callousness only intensified it. This isn't about you, Azalia. It's about paying our respects and coming together as a family in our time of loss. Can't you see that? Oh, how noble. Love you, Miss Perfect, always playing the dutiful daughter. Well, count me out. I won't be a part of your little charade. You know what? Fine, don't come. I don't want you there anyway. You've proven time and time again that you don't care about anyone but yourself. Seek yourself, Indigo. Have fun mourning Daddy without me. That's exactly what I plan to do. And when this is all over, don't ever expect to hear from me again. I'm done with you, Azalia. Whatever, Indigo. Good riddance. And with those words, the line went dead. Anger and disappointment welled up inside me, mingling with the grief of losing our father. It was clear that Azalia's absence would leave a void. But at that moment, I knew it was a void I had to accept forever. The day of the funeral arrived, and people gathered to pay their final respects, but there was still no sign of Azalia. I confided in my mom about our fight, hoping she could sort things out, but it seemed as though she had failed. Azalia was nowhere to be seen. It hurt to see the absence of a sister who should have been there to support us in our time of need. After the burial, my mom and I returned home with some close friends and family members to continue mourning. Suddenly, something horrific burst through the door. There she was, stumbling and wearing a bright pink mini dress that clashed with the somber atmosphere. It was as if she had been out partying, completely intoxicated. To top it all off, she started spewing nonsense, adding insult to injury. Azalea stumbled into the house, knocking over glasses and causing a total ruckus. It was a hot mess, and I wasn't having any of it. We started yelling at each other, making a scene that had everyone cringing. Seriously, Azalea, what the hell are you doing? This is not the time or place for your drunken shenanigans. Oh, come on, Indigo. Dad wouldn't want us all sulk. Let's celebrate his life, damn it. Celebrate? Are you freaking kidding me? Can't you see how freaking inappropriate this is? Show some respect for once. Respect? Easy for you to say, Miss Perfect. You've always been the goody two-shoes, haven't you? Don't you dare start with me, Azalea. Our voices clashed, filled with frustration and years of pent-up anger. The room was tense, and it felt like our relationship hit rock bottom. Just when things couldn't get any worse, our mom stepped in and dragged us both to my room, trying to salvage some dignity and have a private conversation. Girls, enough is enough. Let's talk like adults and find some common ground. Fine, let's talk, but don't expect rainbows and unicorns. Suddenly, my mom and I heard sobbing. It was coming from Azalea. I'm sorry, Mom. Indigo. I've made so many mistakes, and you already know that I need serious help desperately. Dad's passing made me realize how lost and lonely I've truly been. I've missed you guys for a long time, actually, but my pride and stubbornness wouldn't let me reach out. I'm a wreck. Everyone knows that, but I want to change. I want to do better. It might be too late for me to reconcile things with Dad, but I'm hoping it's not too late for us. My mom softened at her words. Despite her and Dad cutting her off all those years ago, I could see that as a mother, being without her child was tearing her apart. I, on the other hand, needed some convincing. But seeing my sister's face crumple with anguish, whether directed at herself, her circumstances, or both, softened me too. Finally, I said, Azalea, if I'm being honest, I don't know if I can believe you anymore. But seeing you like this, owning up to your mistakes, at least it's a start. The weight of the past seemed to lift as we hugged, tears streaming down our faces. It was a bittersweet moment of reconciliation, a fragile bridge built over years of hurt and misunderstandings. At that moment, I realized that family, despite all the crap, could find healing and forgiveness. So after the funeral, things seemed to be looking up for Azalea. She decided to move back in with Mom, and for a while, it seemed like she was doing well. Mom would call me every now and then, giving me updates on Azalea's progress and how proud she was of her for making positive changes in her life. It was a glimmer of hope, you know. But then, just when we thought things were finally settling down, my mom called me in a panic one day. She sounded worried and distressed, and I could tell something was seriously wrong. Mom, what's going on? Why are you so panicked? Indigo, it's Azalea. She's gone, and she took Dad's credit cards, jewelry, clothes, and even raided our pantry. I woke up to this mess and found a note from her. I had no idea where she went. Are you serious, Mom? After all that has happened, she pulls another stunt like this. I can't believe it. I don't know what to do, Indigo. She's caused so much trouble, and now I'm worried about the credit cards. What if she racks up huge debts? Take a deep breath, Mom. We'll handle this. I'm the representative of Dad's estate, and it's my responsibility to protect his assets. I'll contact the credit card companies immediately and let them know to begin deactivating Dad's account. Thank goodness you're here, and the girl. I don't know what I would do without you. I feel so betrayed and hurt by Azalea's actions. I understand, Mom. It's a tough situation, but we'll get through it together. Thank you, Indigo. I appreciate your help and support. It's times like these when the family needs to stick together. How typical. Once again, I was feeling stupid for trusting that idiot again. I wanted to hold on to hope, but clearly I was wasting my energy. I had had enough of Azalea hurting this family. She had really broken Mom's heart with her actions, and I was ensuring that she would pay for her foolishness. It's a shame that we have to protect this family from another family member. What family member? She is dead to me. I'm just glad that she changed her name all those years ago, so she isn't officially tied to us anymore. Good riddance. I was shocked to hear these words coming from my mom. She must have been well past her breaking point. Although it was shocking to witness my mom act this way, she did give me an idea when she said Azalea changed her name many years ago as part of her rebellious act to distance herself from us. It had been a month since Azalea's shocking disappearance and her despicable act of stealing from Mom and Dad. I couldn't believe what I was seeing on her social media. She was flaunting her lavish lifestyle, clearly enjoying what she was buying with the stolen credit cards. If you thought that was bad, she even started tagging both Mom and me in her posts, as if she wanted us to see how carefree and extravagant she was being. Azalea was clearly seeking attention with her behavior, tagging us in every post, hoping to get under our skin. But we weren't going to stoop to her level. We knew that engaging with her would only fuel her ego and validate her attention-seeking tactics, so we remained silent, refusing to dignify her actions with any response. Then one day, out of the blue, I received a call from Azalea. I was reluctant to even answer, but I gotta say, part of me was really curious about what she had to say, so I answered. She sounded smug and arrogant, taunting me for not acknowledging her posts or commenting on her extravagant spending sprees. But I stayed calm and nonchalant, refusing to give her the satisfaction of a reaction. Hey there, Indigo. Long time no talk. I've noticed you've been quiet lately, ignoring all my fabulous posts. Oh, hey, Azalea. Yeah, I've been busy focusing on more important things. Your posts didn't really catch my attention. She was clearly irritated at this point. What's your deal? Why are you so calm about everything? You should be furious with me. Look, Azalea, your actions speak for themselves. I'm not going to let your behavior control my emotions. I've chosen to move on and prioritize honoring Dad's memory instead of getting caught up in your reckless antics. Azalea started shouting at me on the phone, calling me every nasty word in the book. But still, I didn't retaliate. I didn't fight back. I let her have her diva moment, knowing that she'd been receiving a rude awakening pretty soon. You think you're better than me, don't you? Well, guess what? I've spent a whopping $20,000 on Dad's credit cards. I couldn't help but laugh, sinking even further down the spiral of anger. Azalea, your attempt to provoke me won't work. Your actions only reflect poorly on you. I've moved beyond letting your behavior affect me. I'm focused on protecting Dad's legacy and finding peace within myself. Yeah, good luck doing all of that rainbow pretty BS when you and Mom have to scrounge up the funds to pay off my debts. Ha! How do you feel about this? Honestly, Azalea, I feel sorry for you. What? Why? Because you have no idea what you've just done. Azalea was huffing and puffing, talking about how I had no idea what I was talking about, that it was her who had no idea. I started explaining how ever since she ransacked Mom and Dad's place, I began processing the account deletion of my dad due to his passing. The credit card companies advised us that the card might still be usable during this time, and that no purchases should be made while this process is being conducted. I then assured them that Mom and I wouldn't be using the card at all, and that if they noticed any activity from anyone, it was from a fraudster or a thief. What? You didn't tell them that there was another person in the family. What are you talking about? You're not part of this family. I could tell that the words I said smacked her right across the face. I'd never witnessed her so speechless before in my life, which is saying something because that girl can definitely run her mouth like a faucet. What? What do you mean I'm not part of this family? I mean just that, Azalea. You've made it clear to us time and time again that you don't love us. You don't even want us. You changed your name. You deliberately targeted our hearts during our time of mourning just to blindside us and dupe us, which was probably your plan all along, huh? I Oh, cat's got your tongue now, huh? Anyways, I told the people at the bank that if they suspect any suspicious activity occurring after I put in the request for the account deletion, they should deal with it accordingly because it has nothing to do with Mom and me. So, what are you saying? I'm saying that when you're unable to pay the debt, because, let's face it, you'll be dealing with your authorities. Indigo, how could you do this to me? No, Azalea, how could you do this to me, to your mother? How could you sleep in her home and do her dirty like that? How could you disgrace your father who can't even rest because of you? Do you not realize how selfish you are? Okay, so I'm the bad guy, right? I mean, that's what you people have always told me, so why not just report me to the police sooner? Why am I finding out about all of this now? Because watching you fall from your high horse would be much sweeter, darling. I didn't want to give you the heads up. I wanted you to be completely blindsided. But now I see that there's no point in that. You deserve to know that your days of freedom are limited, and very soon you'll be in the pen, and there's nothing you can do about it. Azalea began to cry on the phone, and I just sat in silence, waiting for the pity party to be over. But you know I can't pay this back. I'm gonna go to jail. Yeah, well, you probably should have thought about that before doing the stupid crap you're doing. Indigo, I'm so sorry. Save it. I don't want to hear anything else from you. I never want to hear from you again. And by the way, yes, prison orange is so not your color. Before she could respond, I hung up the phone. I did a little happy dance and waited for the eventual news of Azalea's arrest. As luck would have it, Azalea was arrested the very next day. The authorities took her to the station, and according to the buzz going around my county, Azalea was putting up a fight, denying everything, including the fact that the police found copious amounts of drugs in her house. She was digging herself a deeper grave with all that denying because the judge increased her sentence after she pleaded guilty. I will never understand why people plead guilty when there is undeniable evidence, but anyways, my mom and I rejoiced when we heard of Azalea's verdict. We were hoping to breathe at least for a couple of years before Azalea blessed us with her destruction. I was hoping that a few years locked up would do her some good and teach her some much-needed discipline. But it seems like getting a well-behaved Azalea wouldn't be happening for a long time because she apparently caused a ruckus in her prison cell, even badly beating one of her inmates. The judge said that there would be years added to her sentence due to her insolence in the pen. My mom and I have decided to put everything behind us for real this time. We can't keep going back and forth with this girl. Enough is enough. Whenever we'd get calls from the prison, we'd reject them, refusing to even speak to her in case she tried to slither her way back into our lives again. My mom and I are even considering moving to a different state just so that we can be away from her. We don't even want to have the opportunity to make one of our unwarranted visits when she gets out. Besides, after Dad's passing, I'm sure my mom wants a change of scenery as well. So we've seriously been considering moving away from all the mess and drama that's happened in our lives. It's such a shame that things ended for Azalea this way, but I'm just glad that I finally managed to get my revenge on Azalea from all those years ago. I'm glad that I let her dig her own grave deeper and deeper into debt because of her foolishness. I just hope that some part of her has learned her lesson. But if not, I definitely know that I'm done caring about her in any way, shape, or form at this point.